This was my guest in 1964. And here he is today. Al McGuire, coach of the 1977 Marquette basketball NCAA champions. He's my special guest next on I Remember Milwaukee. Hello, I'm Jim Peck. Welcome to I Remember Milwaukee. Joining me tonight, as I said, is Al McGuire. Sports commentator. He's probably still best remembered as Marquette University's winning basketball coach of the 1960s and 70s. Take a look at this career.
Hello, my name is Jim Peck. I host a television talk show here in Milwaukee. I'm also a graduate of Marquette University. The Marquette basketball team has achieved an outstanding winning tradition. Year after year, Coach Al McGuire has led the Warriors to high rankings in the national polls. I'm sure
Where did they find that? Al, was I ever that young?
He came to Milwaukee and Marquette University in 1964. When he retired as coach of the Marquette Warriors 13 years later, many said it was the end of an era. During those years, Al McGuire brought national recognition to his team, the university, and the city. McGuire came here from coaching jobs at Dartmouth College and North Carolina's Belmont Abbey College. His mission, to lead the Warriors as they attempted to bounce back from one of the worst seasons in the team's history, and how they bounced back. At Marquette, the McGuire years are noted for 11 consecutive postseason tournaments and 20 wins each season. The Warriors won the NIT in 1970, having come in second a few years earlier. The team came in second in the NCAA tournament in 1974, then won the NCAA in 1977.
I have a lot of fond memories of locker rooms and trips and socks and jocks and those type of things.
You kept insisting the game wasn't all that important to you.
Well, maybe subconsciously, but I'm pleased, and I'm pleased for the kids.
He was named Coach of the Year twice. In 1992, he received basketball's highest honor, election to the Hall of Fame. Many also know McGuire as the founder of Al's Run, the charity run and walk that has raised millions of dollars for Children's Hospital.
It's a happening. We've used that word for many years. I try to use a word my grandchildren use now, awesome. It's awesome. That's what they keep saying.
Awesome also describes McGuire's career, or as he put it when leaving Marquette, it's been a nice surfboard ride.
This is a difficult show for you to do because you don't look back, do you?
No, Jim, it's always ahead, and now I try not to look further than 5 years ahead, and it's getting less and less. And I like to live in the future. I don't like living in the past. I enjoy it, and I would like to touch my ball players more, Jim, but I never have. You know, the only time I touch my ball players is that if there is something serious, like a special child or felony. No misdemeanors. You don't bother me with misdemeanors. You don't bother me for tickets for things you get yourself. You want tickets for the Final Four or to go see MJ with the Bulls down in Chicago, fine. I always didn't want ball players and people I'm close to corner. You know, I'm a pro. I've been an absolute pro all my life.
Well, nobody could do that to you.
Well, they might think they're doing it. Sometimes let it go because it's the lesser of evils. And I always thought that life is what you allow yourself not to see. I think that's very important. And that all, Jim, all knows are the same. The only thing different in life are the yeses. So I always try to stay on that seventh race. That's where the thoroughbreds are, you know, not with the first, second, third race. They're just horses. But that seventh and eighth race, that's where the Kentucky Derby horses are.
You always played in those final races. Let me take you back though, as long as we're doing this. Belmont Abbey, North Carolina, small school. Now you get a call from Marquette University. Did you know Marquette? What did you heard? Had you ever heard about it?
First of all, I thought Marquette was up in Michigan.
That's
I didn't know it was in Milwaukee, and I didn't want to come because I was at that time I was at the Abbey, a small school, 300 students, run by the Benedictine monks, and they paid you in the dark. Everything was paid in rosaries and novenas and so forth. No scratch, no cash, no green, as the kids call today. And And Pat said, my wife said, why don't you go up and look at the job? I said, well, Pat, I got my camp out in Providence Road in Charlotte, and I had an ice cream business, Mr. Softy, and a depot and so on. But I came up, and when I got up here, they put me in a hotel, and a priest said to me, Father Orford, God rest his soul, he said to me, now don't get upset, but you don't have the inside position in getting this job. And I got so mad, I said, I'll get it. And I went, it was in the law building downstairs, there was about X amount of guys there, and some students, 2 students and so on, normal mix that you have in an athletic board. And I went in and I laid it on them, left, went back to my room, and they called. And they said, come on down if you want the job, come on back down.
Now, did you know, because I know the history of that, because I knew Father Orford,
Yes.
that job was somebody else's, as far as everybody in that room, except Father Orford, was concerned? That,
I didn't know that.
okay, I was curious about that, because they had someone who had, and I won't mention his name, I don't think it's relevant, but had coached here in Milwaukee and was very popular around Marquette, and it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to get it. And I wondered how much you knew when you walked into that room, because you walked out of it, and that was it. People said, good grief, we got to get that guy.
I don't go to anything prepared. I know, like with you today, Jim, I'm not prepared in any way at all. Wherever you take me, whatever, I hope we get in uncharted waters, because it's more exciting than being in the fjord where it's all calm. But even to this day, when I go to meetings, people think, or these little businesses that I'm in, people think that I was like an Oriental person up all night and getting sharp and so on. No, I go in and react to the meeting or react to whatever meeting. At the law school downstairs that particular day, I just got PO'd. It come all the way up, and not someone telling me before I go in, now, you don't have the inside track. So I said, well, I'll blow their sweat socks off, and that's it. And is it a positive thinking? I don't know. You know, a lot of people give me credit for things that are just instinct with me. I don't think things out too deeply. I react to things, and it's an old line, but I congratulate the temporary, which means a certain amount of pain is happiness, bare feet in wet grass, flower on the side of the hill. Congratulate the temporary means live in the moment. And I truly live in the moment. And someday, if I ever do a book, it will be on showing people how to live in the moment and have the day come to them rather than them keep running to the day.
Is that how, and I didn't expect to jump this far ahead, but is that how you were able to walk away from coaching in '77? You'd won the national, the NCAA tournament, you were the national champs, and you said, that's it, and you'd said it before the tournament.
Well, it didn't quiver anymore. If something doesn't quiver, and that might be a kind of a touchy word, but if something doesn't quiver, I have no excitement in it. Whether it be in Medalist Industries, where I was vice chairman, or whether it be at NBC or now at CBS. And a lot of times they'll throw a screen up there and try to get you to be orderly. And they think I'm being disorderly out of playing the part. No, my life is disorderly. And obviously I'm intelligent, but my Einstein and Michelangelo stuff is street intelligence, common sense intelligence. I'm not knocking someone else that's book-wise, but if you could put the both of them together, I can't, because I never learned the books. But I think equally to anybody in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or whoever watches this show, that common sense thing and feeling a situation, feeling what's happening. As a coach, you say, well, why didn't you go back? I would have went back if I knew we win the championship, only to defend the championship, you know, become Joe Louis or Rocky Marciano or Holyfield, or whatever you want to, Iron Mike, whatever you want to say in the boxing game, is that, but seeing that the move was already made, I made the move early for one specific reason, is that I wanted Hank and Rick to be taken care of. And I became a lame duck coach, which things shouldn't work as a lame duck. And that year really didn't work because that's the most games we lost in over 10 years.
It was by no means your best year,
Oh,
other than, of course, the finish.
Oh, I had 7 or 8 better clubs than that.
Yeah.
It just that the reason we won, and the audience is going to say, hey, this guy's off the wall. The reason we won is that we had a game in Cincinnati, the first round of the NCAA. We're playing Cincinnati in Omaha. Remember, I come up with a statement, my second trip to Omaha in 2 weeks because we played Creighton early.
Mm-hmm.
And Omaha didn't like that remark. But at halftime of that game in 1977, the first game in the NCAA, I'm walking to the locker room, and BT says to me, Bernard Toon, he says to me, you said you're going to play me. I said, leave me alone. I never told anybody I was going to play him. I've always said every ball player, you're born, you die alone. You know, it's if you gel and you're the starting 5, beautiful. I don't have a jury here. So I kept going to the locker room, and BT says to me again, he said, you told me you were going to play me. And I punched him. So I punched BT. I remember Bob Weingart, who's passed away now. He broke his a bone and was breaking us up in his hand. And that is what won the national championship. Jim, we were 9 points down at halftime. We were scrambling. We were the last team to get in to the NCAA that year. And for some reason, like all my life, there's something that moves the moment of the action. Something that, and all of a sudden, that pop, I hit him, and he'd come back, and then, oh, he's like a baseball fight. They're all phony fights. You get in close, and you roll on the floor. But that's what won the championship. We came back, we knocked off the Bearcats in Cincinnati, then out to beat Wake Forest and Kansas out in Oklahoma, and then we won the championship in the Omni in '77.
That was a great game. I remember watching that, and your reaction at the end of that game, you didn't jump up, you didn't wave your arms, you sat very still. I think you may have cried.
I cried. Yeah.
And you let the players enjoy it.
Yeah, what happened is that Irish guys, you know, they're weak tear ducts anyway. But what happened when it was a lock, you know, it was about 30, 45 seconds left to go. I think we had a 6-point lead. So it was a lock. And because I always delayed, I was the defensive coach. And then what happened, all of a sudden the rush came on, the CYO and the PAL, Catholic Youth League, and the Police Athletic League, and the Eastern League, and the dumps I played in, and not getting paid, and always being the bridesmaid. Then all of a sudden it dawned on me that, wow, this is it. This is all she wrote, you know, this curtains. And everybody thought that then I was using this type of thing to create money in pro ball or contracts and so on. Let me tell you something, Jim, you know it, you've been around long enough. But the biggest mistake people make in life is over money. And when they reach for the money, they better be sure that they're qualified. Because there's so many people out there that have a beautiful life and they don't understand the Peters principle. And so often I see it. And when I say something, and I sound like Dick Vitale here, I'm saying I and me, and if you took I, me, and baby out of his book would be about 2 pages long. I don't want he belongs in a rubber room anyway, but I am like a shrine I'm building. I don't mean it that way, because I still have a very, very exciting 15 years left. And that, but it's awful hard to people put the age thing there. And, you know, I tell them about the Orientals. They don't believe in age and, you know, all that type of baloney. But, no, there's so many more exciting things that I want to do. And the next time I will cry is when I die. My life has been that beautiful.
You talked about never telling a player he would start, but your son started.
My son started because he's my son, but he was good too. I remember, I'll tell you the story, you probably might be leading to the story. I'm a George Sugar Fraser. George Fraser was a good ball player. We put him in a prep school down in South Carolina, Laurenburg Prep, and a new star appeared in the East. And one year they made him a academic genius, you know, one of those type of things. And he was good, there was no doubt. He was my 6th man. And George came in to see me. This is the early 70s, the Burn years, and the people on the campus, and the Ben Franklin classes were just coming out then. And he came in, and I never had meetings with people. And he come in, he's walking back and forth in front of my desk. We just call him Sugar. I go, hey, Sugar, what can I do you for? And he says, I should be starting. I'm as good as your son. So I said, sit down, Sugar. So he sat down. I said, Sugar, let me tell you something. I love my son Al. For you to start, you must be better than he is. He wins all pushes. Pushes is an Eastern expression. That means a bet that's tied. If it's a tie, Allie wins. But at that time, we were 17-2. You know, we could be 19-0, who knows? But we were 17-2. And but what I did, and I do with everybody to this day, I try to give everybody an out. I never close doors. I allow a crack in the door, not only for the person, also for me. So now I gave George Fraser, who was a beautiful player, great player, I gave him identity. Now he can leave my office and say, hey, the coach says that I got to be better than Allie to start. But it was, but there is a love, obviously, with your children and your family that's beyond approach if there's such a word.
How did Milwaukee react to this, this brash young McGuire guy from the Bronx?
I think they were looking at me as a interim. I think really the person that they might have been waiting for was Don Koges. And I could read.
All-American at Marquette.
He was an All-American, a great player. He was playing pro ball, and he was just too young at the time. And so I was kind of someone that probably scared them. To this day, I scare people. Even when I go in business with people, it takes 2 years before they start believing me. And because they feel if they fall down, I'll pick them up with their wallet. There's this constant, because of the New York accent and the flim-flam and the action and all my, what can I call it, my Nick Romano, live fast, die young, have a good-looking corpse. You know, knock on any door, the gang type of stuff. And when it got to the second year, I remember at that time his father offered a Ken come in and wanted to give me another year contract. And I said, no, Father, it's either let's kiss and go away, and it's been a good run, I enjoyed it, but if I stay now, I want a 5-year contract. And that I even told him at that time, I said, I'll never coach another college or university. And I've been offered in those days, Notre Dame. I remember at the Morrison, and downstairs, a little confessional bar, they got borrowed about 3 stools and 2 priests. That's when Johnny D left. Kentucky, St. John's, and all through the years, even the pro teams.
You were offered the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
And you wanted to take that.
Yeah. What
And
happened?
Marquette didn't let you out of the contract.
Well, what happened was 2 things. First, what happened is that Herb and I are very close friends. We don't, I mean, we're kind of polarized in a lot of ways, but we're close friends, and I respect him very, very much. And we're talking about Herb Coleman, the senator. And he put up $100,000. Franchise at that time cost $2 million. Podloff was the commissioner. And I went to Father McCauley. Father McCauley says, no, and I thought he was kidding.
He was the vice president at the time.
At Marquette. I thought he was kidding. So I always said, okay, I'll come back. I always laugh. I'll come back tomorrow. He wasn't kidding. So I said, fine. The contract's a contract. So then Herb pulled out, got back his $100,000, and then West Pavillon went in. And West Pavillon came to me. And West Pavillon was more of a my type of guy, you know, let it fly, let's hit the home run.
He was a risk taker.
Yeah, let's hit the home run, where doesn't have the, I don't think, the intelligence of a Herb Cole, but he has a different type of intelligence. A highly intelligent man, but just different than Herb. And so that's when I went back and I said, no, I would like to do this, and they said no again. I said, okay, let's forget this altogether.
And it didn't make you angry?
No.
At least I don't think it did. Maybe it frustrated you at the time.
I never lost a night's sleep at anything in my life over anything that I can remember. Now, my children or something like that, but anything personal. I have a gold thumb. I don't know if I said that earlier. My mother has one. A gold thumb means that you know how to make money. And I don't know why. My brothers are smarter than me. My sister's smarter than me. But for some reason, I know how to make money, or know what might take off. Might become a jet job or a rocket launching, down at Cape Canaveral.
You went into business after you left coaching.
Did both. My secondary employer was Metals Industries, where I was vice president, vice chairman, and that was another contract. I don't do anything, even to this day, that isn't clear. You want to do something with me, no hanky-panky. I undress people, completely undress them. Because the way I talk and the way I act, we undress. And so that was my secondary position. And I was probably making more money at Medalist Industries than I was at Marquette. But went with them was staying with them, and I was supposed to take over for 5 years, and I wanted out. I always try to get out of things. See, a lot of people do things in life and don't know how to get out. Before you do anything in life, gang out there, know how to get out of it. Because once you get in, getting in is easy. We could form 5 corporations here in 10 minutes if we wanted to form them, but try to get out of them.
Why do I think I'm going to be underwriting them if we do?
Yeah, how do you get out of it? And so Metals was a nice run, and Mr. Fisher, the chairman and the founder of the corporation, was very nice to me. And then they wanted to prolong things, and I didn't. So at the board meeting at the University Club in town here, I took a walk, a long walk in a short pier. They compensated me, so everything was fine. No problem.
You have, I think the only time you go to games, Marquette games, when you're covering the game, or when Marge retired and you went, and Marge Filarczyk, who was the longtime ticket maven at Marquette, and you showed up for her retirement.
But I just showed up at halftime.
Yeah.
I didn't stay for, I don't go to games.
Why?
Busman driving, my mind runs, it's way out there. I don't even watch games. Only now, after 18 years of doing national network shows, is that the people believe me that I don't see the teams. When I did this year, I did the NCAA in Providence, the first round. The second round I did in
The second thing to go.
Kansas City, yeah, Kansas City. I think it was Kansas City. Well, in Providence, I had 8 teams. I did know 2 of them. I knew Marquette, and I knew University of Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Then they sent me, the next spate was 4 teams, knew none. Never seen any of them. And what I do is that I spend about 2 days preparing. But I don't do it with SIDs, that means Sports Information Director.
Mm-hmm.
My way, I don't hear what my pro hears, whether it be Dick Enberg, Marv Albert, Cricky, Costa, I work with all these guys, and I don't want to hear what they're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can react. And then I have no fear of producers, directors, sponsors, schools. And the reason I had no fear, most likely, is because I had a wealthy mother. That allows you to have no fear of anybody. But then it becomes spontaneous, as best you can. Sure, you get your little acts and your little runs you get on, and so on and so forth. And I don't think they know how old I am. I honestly, God, don't think they're CBS. I just done the 4th straight year of the
Should I ask you how old you are?
No.
Thank you.
No, because I don't lie and I don't want to lie.
Okay, I know, but I won't say.
Allie's 43 or 44. That'll give you an idea.
But I mean, Ripley covered his birth. You were only 8 when he was born. I remember that. The best player you ever coached?
Best player, hard to say. I've got to go with George Thompson.
Yeah.
BF, he's going brute force. He's now a full vice president of Briggs and Stratton. Has a son at University of Minnesota that's graduated.
6'2", played forward, and I think is still the
Big
all-time
rear-end.
leading rebounder. I know he's the all-time scorer. He may be second on rebounding.
He was a freshman, couldn't play then. He was very, 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 he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And never seen him play, because I wouldn't have recruited him with those big legs and the big rear end. He had a rear end 2 axe handles wide, but Bo was very, very good. Bo took us to 2 championship games, and
Won the slam dunk contest one year in the pros.
That's right, Jimmy Shones and Dean the Dream. I had so many great players.
Shones was the first player at least for Marquette, and that was just starting to go hardship and go to the pros out of college. You took a lot of criticism because you said they offered him $1 million. You said, I told him to take it. Any regrets?
Well, what happened? No regrets. I just like to relive it the same way over again. But Jimmy, I represented Jimmy until it got to the short strokes, then someone else, and I moved in somebody else. And Jimmy, a guy named Roy Bowe, wanted him in the ABA.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 leagues at those times, and the ABA had no television contract, so without a television contract, so they went to get the aircraft carriers. They got McDaniels from Western Kentucky. They got Gilmore from Jacksonville.
Artist Gilmore, yeah.
So they were going for the aircraft carriers to create a TV contract. So I get this guy, Ray Bowe, whatever his name is, and he gives me all this baloney. And I say 1.6 largest contract in the history of sports at that time, in the history of sports. And so he calls me about 5 months later. It was in February, middle of the season. I think we were number 1 or 2 in the nation. He says, I want Jimmy. I says, fine. He said, I want him next week. I said, well, it's kind of awkward, but a deal's a deal. A deal is a deal, Jim. If you're going to have a happy life, a deal's a deal. Otherwise, you know, I don't want to hear excuses of my mother's home or my wife's out of town or the check's in the mail. No excuses. A deal's a deal. So I remember getting Jimmy, and I got to go quickly.
30 seconds.
I get Jimmy in the car, ride him bound to Racine. His dad was dead at the time. His dad worked for the IJ Case Company. And I say, Jimmy, you just broke your leg, you're leaving the team. He started to cry. I said, Jimmy, for the next 5 years, every week, 52 weeks a year, you get a check for $10,600. He stopped crying.
Al, thank you. This was great. It's been 20 years since we've done this. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us. Hope we'll see you next time right here on I Remember Milwaukee.
Antiques Roadshow continues its appearance in Charleston, South Carolina, next at 7, here on Channel 10.